Strava just launched a feature called Instant Workouts, and I wanted to take a moment to talk about it because on the surface, it looks like a big step forward. AI-generated workouts, suggested routes, training guidance built directly into the app. But after reviewing this feature for a little bit, talking to some athletes that I know who have used it, and reading hundreds of comments from athletes like you who've actually tried it, there's one thing that becomes really clear. This is just a really buggy rollout. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how training actually works. And today I just wanted to break it down a little bit. For those of you new to the channel or have come across this, I'm Brant Stachel. I'm the most reviewed coach on Team Run Run. I've got over 109 5-star reviews. I've coached over 150 athletes to Boston qualifications. 25 athletes represent Canada. I work with Olympians and pros on the mental side of performance. And I try to break down training and running things in a critical lens from somebody who's coached it from a very high level to beginners for the last almost 2 decades now. And so when I look at the rollout of Strava, I think one thing, right? One, we know they're looking for an IPO. We know they're starting to go public. So they're trying to build value. They're trying to build brand. They're trying to get more exposure. And so I think part of this is any publicity is good publicity, even if this is really buggy and bad. And so normally when a new feature launches in the running world, you can expect mixed reaction. When we had the super shoes come up, there were pro super shoes, anti super shoes, and we kind of just adopted it because it was a better way forward for training and for racing. But that holds true across a lot of domains, but that's not what happened here. So the feedback was overwhelmingly negative from runners, cyclists, triathletes. It wasn't just confusion about a new tech or a new way of doing something. It was like an alarm going off. Not because the workouts were hard. Athletes love hard workouts. It's one of the things we love doing. But because the workouts didn't make sense physiologically, psychologically, practically, or logistically. The first part that I noticed watching it and reading comments and seeing others who have actually used it was that the AI doesn't understand realistic intensity. So one of the most consistent complaints and a gripe I had with it was the workout it would give someone would require fitness they simply don't have. So when I looked at it, just off my training and what some athletes that I know were doing, it's interval paces that were faster than they've ever run, cycling power targets above their historical peaks or FTPs, and sessions that assumed sudden, unexplained jumps in fitness. If I look at that critically as a coach, I look at that and I go, this tells me something important. The system is over trusting prediction models and under trusting reality. And so if you have one bad activity file, who doesn't? GPS doesn't load, you run on a track or circle or indoors, so the error in the data is huge, or the wearable misread the heart rate, or push the algorithm, you accidentally did a bike in run mode because you didn't want to wait for your watch to load or whatever. It leads the new AI program to believing you're dramatically fitter than you are. So the workouts become unsafe. You're not just functional overreaching, you're just straight up overreaching. So training is not about what you could maybe do once. It's about what you can do consistently and recover from. And so the comments reflect that disconnect clearly from the Strava AI system to what we're actually doing in reality. The second pattern that I noticed was that the routes make workouts nearly unexecutable. The workout itself, if it is okay, and if the pace and the targets and everything are right, it's the route that now makes it impossible. So it puts you on a route in the city that has stoplights. The segments aren't long enough for the workout route. It's a busy street or crowded sidewalks. Different uses being applied to threshold in mixed trails or gravel that maybe you want to do road, right? VO2 or power sessions placed on steep or technical terrain. It's like they put all their pieces together, their segments, their maps and workouts, and just put it all together and said, this looks good, without actually key testing it and getting the training principles right for the workouts and the stuff we were trying to do. And so as a coach, I look at it and the environment as part of the prescription. I don't just write workouts. I think about the surface, the terrain, the interruptions, the safety, the athlete's ability to actually hit the target. The AI isn't doing that. And so I've had athletes say, I literally can't do the session that Strava sent me. That's not a user error. That's system failure. The third and perhaps most perplexing one to me that we saw from a pattern was you can't execute the workout on the watch. So Garmin, Coros, Polar, you can all push workouts to your watch. As a coach, I can have athletes push workouts to their watch from Final Surge, and it shows them the reps, what rep they're in, the recovery ratios, everything. But with this, once the athletes hit start, the workout just disappeared. Intervals aren't visible. There's no cues, alerts, structure, which means athletes are left to just memorize the workouts or screenshot instructions or constantly check their phone mid-session. And unlike Final Surge, Garmin, Coros, all these other platforms that athletes regularly use to train, you can't push the workout to your watch. In 2026, this is something companies and wearables have been doing for years, decades at this point. So this is a broken feature here. This is a very fast rollout that makes no sense. I don't always agree with it, but athletes expect those beeps, alerts, pacing guidance, and feedback during the session. And without that, this isn't just training execution, it's just improvisation, let alone when you mix it with courses and routes that aren't advantageous to actually completing a workout. One of the final patterns that I noticed in watching and reviewing this was that recovery isn't recovery. This one generally concerns me as a coach. One of the biggest indicators of injuries is like too much ramp up or too much intensity. And so many athletes noted that the recovery workouts included tempo lever efforts, moderate to high power blocks, long durations of stress-inducing intensities. And this could come back to the idea that the AI is looking at bad data or mixed data or not pulling accurate representation. But recovery isn't something that we just hope for. It's a physiological state that's required for adaptation. And so if a session accumulates fatigue, elevates stress, or impairs the next day's training, it's not recovery regardless of the label that we apply to it. And so when athletes then slide into chronic fatigue, plateaued performance, injury cycles that they don't see coming, they start to wonder it's them. I work with enough athletes on the mental performance side and the coaching side to know that when something bad happens, athletes internalize first, I screwed up, something happened to me, I did something wrong, I suck. But when we look at it this way, with garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So when I step back for a moment, I look at the comments and I try to review it a little bit critically through both like an athlete lens and a coach lens and, somebody who really wants to make sure the sport's in a good place. I'm not anti-AI. I use AI in some of my back-end stuff routinely. Editing these videos uses a little bit of AI. But while we're all on the AI bandwagon, I feel like this one's a big mess. I feel like the AI generated workouts without understanding training, constraints, environment, etc. is a giant recipe to turn people in this like second coming of the running boom off running. We know that when athletes get injured, especially athletes who are new to running, they will leave faster. I believe running is amazing. It's a great sport for everyone. I'm not anti-AI. I think it should be applied appropriately and when it works. When I looked at it, the workouts read like they were a language output, not structured training files. There's no robust logic. There's no connecting the prescription. There's no working with the person. There's no understanding their terrain. I have athletes in Canada, in Europe, in South America, in the US. Every single one of them has a different climate. I need to program differently for that. And I would think Strava, with all the integrations with weather and maps and routes and hotspots, would be able to better do this. This seems like a very rush, built to exist and be there for their future IPO, but not built to work. Now, I want to be a little bit even-handed here. I think they could get this right. The idea itself isn't bad. I think there's potential here. Light guidance for newer athletes, exploration days, especially new cities. It's one of mine and my wife's favorite things to do. We go to a new city, we look at the Strava maps and we go run there because generally the people that are running, and there's lots of people running it in the hot spots or heat maps, that's a pretty good place to go. Cross-training nudges. I think there's actually some stuff here that could get right, but I think it requires some humility and thought about the actual users, not just rushing a product or a service out. I believe that AI should support training decisions, not pretend to replace them. Here's the bottom line. Strava's instant workouts are not ready at this point and maybe ever to guide real training. I think even Garmin, Coros, Polar, they've tried to do that and it's not really working. It's not because athletes don't want them, but because training demands are contextual. They require realism and execution. And right now this feature, it offers confidence without competence. And I think that's a dangerous combination when we're talking about coaching. I think you can use it for ideas, new cities, travel, vacation. I think you should ignore it for prescription. And if you're training with intent, structure still matters. If this helped you think a little bit more clearly about training and tech and integration and trying to be the best runner you can, I'd encourage you to stick around, subscribe to this channel. I've created this channel to help athletes cut through the noise, train smarter, perform free, and reach their best. It's the best thing I think I can do to give back to the sport that's given me so much. So if you like this content, check out some of my other content about how to actually train from an anti-AI approach and subscribe.